Which Side Podcast is a proud member of the Which Side Media Collective.
This week's episode is sponsored by All Cops Are Bastards. Recently, news broke of a Spanish woman who was fined 100 euros for carrying a bag saying all cats are beautiful, because police thought the initials ACAB meant all cops are bastards. So to help remind police that it's okay to love cats, we're offering 50% off all of our ACAB shirts, patches, and bandanas in the Which Side Media Collective store. Just use promo code ACAB at checkout. Go find everything at whichsidecollective.org.
And remember, promo code ACAB. This is episode 190.
Yeah, we talk with Terry Hope Romero.
You know, we found out in this conversation that we both own the same, a very rare bread cooking book. I don't want to say very rare. It's not really rare. It's just really obscure. And it's not a vegan book by any stretch of the imagination. But the fact that we both own it and we both got it inherited to us from other people, it's weird. It's just a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. But stay tuned for this episode. It's a lot of fun. Plus, she found out that you can make tofu over an open fire, which is weird, I guess. I don't know. Hey, Jordan, what news and events do we have going on this week?
In Uruguay, on June 20th, 16 rabbits were liberated from a farm in a Melilla neighborhood.
Way to go, Uruguay.
Melilla, probably, is how it would have been pronounced or something. I don't know.
For the slingshot this week, June 28th, 1989. I was just almost turning 8. There was a tent city started outside of San Francisco City Hall. Not only was there a tent city started, but Food Not Bombs served food for 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Way to go, Food Not Bombs.
I love Food Not Bombs.
So amazing. If you have a local Food Not Bombs, help them out. Just go volunteer. It's amazing. And if you don't, super easy to start one.
All you gotta do is make some vegan food for some people.
Yeah. You just Google Start a Food Not Bombs. There's so much information available. So go get out in your community. It's a great way to be a strong member of your community that you wouldn't otherwise get to be. So we had a little bit of technical issues with this episode. We edited it the best we could. So, if you're a super freak about, your audio, skip it. But it's a really good message. It's really fun. It's just a little, tech garble noise every once in a while. It's nothing too bad.
It was right when we got into a new studio. So
yeah.
Working out some of the kinks.
So, yeah, it's free and it's good. And Terry's awesome. So I sincerely hope you enjoy this episode.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side? Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?
So how's your day going so far?
Oh, crazy as usual. Yes, just rolled in from work. Nice long New York City subway commutes. But okay. Okay.
Does the primaries make it worse on a day like today?
I have no idea. No clue. I think most people try to get that done in the morning, but it's impossible to say. New York City are randomly good or terrible, no matter what, or not particularly influenced by anything, I think. So, yeah. Where are you guys based?
We're out in Salt Lake City, Utah right now.
Oh, okay.
You ever visit?
Yeah, I am curious. All the exciting things, Mormons, SLC Punk, like what's not to love? I'm hearing lots about the highly competitive blogging scene out there. So, Mesmerizing.
Hold on. I am not in the blogging scene at all. There's a competitive blogging scene out here.
Yeah, like I think of like with like Mormon housewives, like they have like a very competitive blogging scene out there. It's the struggle's real.
Oh, I have heard. Okay, I thought you were talking about like vegan blogging scene in particular. I have heard about like Mormon housewife blogging shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that stuff is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, there's like all these hairstyle ones, and I don't know.
A lot of multi-level marketing blog things
we
too.
We are the king of multi-level marketing here in the state of Utah. We have the most.
So good at that.
We're good at selling scams like Mormonism.
Right. That's going to be an hour-long discussion about Mormon blogging, vegan anarchist pyramid schemes.
If you
That's right.
If you have any good ideas for a good, vegan anarchist, pyramid scheme, shoot it our way. I'm not opposed. 'Cause if we get in at the ground level and you bring more people in, and then they work for you, you can just build this empire.
Right. Easily. In your spare time at home.
What was your origins of veganism?
My origin story.
Yeah.
I don't have a nice, tidy one, really. So before there was the internet, there was me, a teenager in the suburbs of Connecticut, 80s. And for no particular reason, I love cooking. I loved playing with food. And I was weirdly into health at 16. Actually, even earlier than that, probably more like 14, which a weird thing, a strange thing for a 14-year-old to be thinking about. And I just started kind of researching on my own, like cooking without meat, And at the time, the only thing I could find that was vaguely not veering away from the regular American diet was either Vegetarian Times or a random cookbook about tofu I'd find at the library or at thrift store. There really wasn't a lot to guide me along. And I think weirdly enough, and this is something I talk about in, when I was writing Viva Vegan, I was like, hey, it occurred to me the first vegetarian restaurant, and even vegan restaurant I ever ate at was not in the United States, but it was in Venezuela. And somehow, I think my cousins got wind of that. I was already kind of interested in not eating meat. And they were like, hey, there's this vegetarian restaurant we want to take you to. And it kind of happened. We went to this place. I don't even remember the name of this place. And it was the first time I ate food there, at an actual restaurant that was vegetarian. It was really crazy. And then when I came back home, and maybe it kind of spurred my interest to just go for it. And I just took out all the books I could and I started reading and I started cooking. And I carried on in my vegetarian ways until I started hanging out in New York City in around 90 or 92 or so. Oh my God, I'm actually listing years. Yikes. Around 92, I started running away to go to just go hang out around the Lower East Side and buy Doc Martens and, think about going to ABC No Rio, reading Maximum Rock and Roll. I was still too scared to really go, but I thought about going. So I'd go there and I was slowly over the course of talking to people I met on Maximum Rock and Roll and the classified ads when you'd make pen pals with people. We actually wrote to people trust me, I love technology. I'm not at all that really nostalgic about writing letters to people by hand. I made friends and I eventually moved to New York City, dropped out of college. More kids, stay in school. Okay, stay in school. But I dropped out of college and in 92 and that's started living in New York City in Brooklyn. And that's in a really uncool part of Brooklyn, by the way. And that's when I started meeting vegans, actual real vegans, and deciding, hey, why don't I just go for it? Why don't I just cut out the dairy, cut out the eggs, cut out the other stuff, and just start cooking and, cooking the way I really always wanted to. And also they're just there were some vegan restaurants even then that there were just options in New York City. So that's kind of when it happened. So I don't have a date. I don't have a veganversary. It was really, for me, a slow, gradual process.
I'm always kind of jealous of people who do have a veganversary. I have no idea.
I have no idea when mine is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometime between, it would have been 93, 94, sometime in that time frame for me. But when you were saying like the writing letters part, it reminded me that I am nostalgic for the mixtapes of that era, though.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many hardcore bands or punk bands that I was only introduced to by random, like, just tape panning back and forth.
And now kids are doing it all on Spotify and YouTube, making playlists instead.
And I look for the early 90s hardcore playlist.
Right? And it's there. It's waiting for you. I actually, weirdly, I totally find bands that way now. And I actually find bands on Bandcamp. I end up like having these weird, like I fall into a rabbit hole. Well, or I just kind of start like, oh, what's this weird German band? Like I just suddenly am like listening to stuff and I'm like, what? But I don't know. Or looking at people's Instagram profiles, like just creepy things like that. Just stuff.
So you creep all over the internet is what you're saying.
I'm creepy. Yeah, I creep on people and find out what they're listening to. If they look cool, I'm like, oh, maybe they're listening to something cool. And I don't. So yeah, it's a lot creepier now.
I do like Bandcamp for finding, especially like folk and folk punk music and bluegrass music. I think I get a lot better mix there than going to like YouTube. And I don't get Spotify. I'm going to be honest. I'm not that old, but I'm too old for that. Kids.
It's not that complicated.
I actually, let's complain about Spotify. Yeah, I actually don't really. I'm not a fan. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. But whatever.
I like Pandora. Is that like just ancient of me?
I don't know. I really don't like Pandora, and it's not even like I don't get it. I don't know, robot DJs. I don't know.
Yeah,
don't do it for me.
So what's your thing for online streaming like that?
YouTube.
Okay, fair enough.
I know, nothing cool. Really, nothing cool.
Also, when you reminded me when you were saying that you only could find books on tofu, my favorite cookbook still to this day is the Book of Tofu.
Yes.
And I absolutely love that damn thing. I still use it when I make my tofu. It's not a vegan cookbook. If anyone who's not familiar with it,
it's like the origin of tofu.
Yeah,
everything about it.
I love it. Yeah.
Yes, you make tofu. This is like another podcast right here.
So, I mean, to be honest, I don't make it that often anymore. It's not cost effective to make it for how much time it takes. You can make it. I think last time I figured out the cost, it was like 20 cents a pound to make. But I can buy it for $1 a pound, and when it takes 3 to 4 hours to make, my time's worth that extra 60 cents, 80 cents, whatever that math is.
80
cents. Thank you. Yeah, my that 4 hours is worth that 80 cents.
Wow, punk economics. I can't think of any hour I've done that's worth 80 cents. I don't even know. My heart hurts thinking about that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I encourage it if anyone wants to try it. It's not difficult to make. It's a lot of fun, and it really gives you an appreciation for like the origins. It makes you realize that plain soy milk is just nasty as shit.
But DIY tofu is way better than store-bought.
It's fucking delicious, right? Yeah. Like there's nothing better than especially if you boil the soy milk and everything over an actual fire, because it gives that smoky flavor.
What are you doing over there in Utah? Tofu made over an open flame outdoors on the prairie. Wow.
I mean,
I don't have anything like that. Sorry.
That's what you got to do when the apocalypse comes.
You have to make your own
tofu.
Wow.
We're prepared.
Mind blown.
When the government falls, right? That's what anarchists do, right?
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Can't live without tofu.
It's great. Well, and the other great thing about making tofu, I'm assuming you've never made tofu.
You totally found me out. I have never made tofu. I am not, I have never done many of the basics besides seitan, which I love because I feel like maybe I'm just kind of more of a baker at heart too. Like I love making dough. Mm-hmm. I love kneading dough. I love all those kind of things. So to me, like seitan, no problem. You want seitan? I'll get you seitan. I can make you seitan. But making tofu, I'm a little intimidated by the soybean arts.
Nothing to be intimidated by at all. But the great thing about making tofu is that every step along the way, you have a usable byproduct. So you actually aren't throwing anything away. Like you can keep all the fiber. It's called a kara. You can make like burgers out of it. You can make other fibers out of it. You can use it as an animal feed if you want to feed it to your dogs or whatnot. It's really nutritious. And then you actually get vegan whey when you actually make the tofu, which is an antibacterial cleaner. Nasoya actually uses it to clean their whole factory.
What?
Yeah. And it's a good wood polish. So and it tastes really sweet. It's actually not too bad to drink.
Wow. Okay. I've been schooled. I guess I'm gonna start making tofu, and I don't know, like some park in Queens or something. Yeah.
but here's the flip side. I hate making seitan. So why do you love it so much?
I guess I love it because it's like, for me, it's like I get it. Maybe I'm just comfortable with bread. I love making bread. I love making anything with dough. I love gluten. Me and gluten go way back. So I think for me, like seitan is just like, I get this. And I even tell people like, hey, if you can make bread, you've got like twice the process or 3 times like the process that you need to make seitan. Because seitan, you don't have to bake it. You don't have to do anything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'm letting it rise and bake. Instead, you're just like making this blob, you know. And I cheat with like, you know, with Vital Wheat gluten flour. Yeah. Like, absolutely. Not the whole, I'm going to use like, you know, like 15 gallons of water to rinse out the starch. Even though that makes very good seitan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just me.
Does anyone even do that anymore?
Well, I was going to say maybe that's my problem because I've never done the Vital Wheat gluten way.
That's the easiest
and
way
I've
to
always
do it.
hated having to like go over the hot and cold water and kneading it through it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is a fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, only hippies have that time. We don't have time like that.
I ain't no hippie. That's why I don't make it.
Exactly. Only there we are. We're too busy. Punks are too busy.
Punks are too busy. It's true.
Got patches to sew.
It was funny when you brought up SLC Punk earlier. I always remember. I know so many people in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
And they're coming out with number 2 soon.
I kind of think I've heard that for like the past like 8 years that they're coming out with number 2.
Well, it's already recorded, so this time it's official, and no one from the original's in it.
So that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. I hope it comes out on Laserdisc.
Yeah.
No, that movie like it rings so close home to me because I don't know how familiar you are with the movie, but that scene where they raid in and there's the Vandals Urban Struggle playing, that's actually at the Native American Center where I went to my very first hardcore show there.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't remember that scene, but I'm going to like go watch that right when we're done. I'm going to make myself a sandwich and watch that scene.
See, and this is how bad I was watching it. As the soundtrack was playing, I'm like, that band wasn't out when this was done. That this is the wrong era of punk. Like, what's going on here?
That's an entirely appropriate response.
So what makes you like have that drive for doing the cookbook aspect of it?
I've been indentured slavitude with my publishers forever. Yeah. So I got to say, I am not a self-published author. I think that's a wonderful thing that's happening with books now, and especially the cookbooks. But I have worked with a publisher my whole life. And I have to say, if there's one thing that can motivate you and motivates me is having a deadline. So I think that really does, it's part of the story. I think it helps. Also, I guess I do think about food a lot, and I think about recipes. And just cooking is something that I do. You know, I think about it all the time. I'm one of these people that I can come home after like a long day of work or doing something, or even just like being outside with, you know, around talking to people. And I come home and cooking helps me decompress. So, you know, spending like an hour or 2 in the kitchen and thinking of, and just, you know, making something really is something I just kind of do it, you know. But the funny thing is, like, definitely I was kind of thinking about this on my ride home today, was about how cookbooks are one of the most demanding and most complicated kind of books you could do. I know a lot of people who are, they're nonfiction writers or fiction writers. And like when you do a cookbook, there's so much you have to think about. You're writing instructions in addition to writing creatively, which is a whole nother kind of uses another part of your brain, I think. And then there's the whole like testing recipes and there's photography. Most people I know, unless you're like, I don't know, Martha Stewart and have like an army of people to help you with your cookbook, are kind of have to do their own photography too on some level, or coordinate it or cook there. Or, it's a lot of work, but I guess I just really like food. I really like playing with food. I like developing recipes. Part of the challenge, I think, or rather what I like about vegan recipes is sort of the challenge of a mashup and make, banh mi salads, just something like taking two things I love and making something new. So yeah, it's a sickness. It's a sickness.
So do you, a lot of your cookbooks have like hundreds of recipes in them. How do you go and cook each of those recipes and find time for those?
Hundreds of recipes. So one of my personal goals is to make cookbooks with less recipes in some ways. So to kind of focus on more like have people like, I think too many recipes, people tend to lose focus. I know I do. But I'm always working on recipes. I take a lot of notes. Like one tip I tell people who are interested in writing a cookbook, besides, I really hope you love grocery shopping, you do, because you will grocery shop every day, is that I do take a lot of notes. If I do get like a weird, vague idea for a recipe, I write down somewhere, usually electronically, Evernote or, Google Docs or one of the other millions of ways you can keep track of, So I have like at this point in my life, I have a backlog of recipes that goes back years. Not all of them amazing, but even the ones that are like less wonderful or could use some work, I know I could probably go back and retool them or do something else. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about just putting out like the B-sides? Like, yeah, it's just this will do.
That's what blogging is for. Just, I have to, the blogging and serious, like hardcore bloggers of vegan or not vegan varieties. And I hear bloggers say this all the time. I am not a great blogger, or I'm a very much like this is what you see is what you get kind of blogger. My blog is kind of my more unfiltered, less, edited, less, like plotted out version of my food and my brain. So yeah, that's how I consider it. Like, but I think for an actual published work, I probably prefer to put the stuff like that's a little more polished. But yeah, on my Instagram or on other things like that, that's where I tend to, put out the stuff that is definitely way less work done.
Would being a little more raw, like on your online presence, has that caused any problems for you?
I wish it did. I don't know. Actually, I have to say, like, I really received a lot of complaints. So I don't know. If I did, I definitely would, use that as some information. I'm kind of infamous for not really reading the kind of scene often a lot of times. And this is serious. And this is like another thing to tell people, because in my other weird work life, I talk to a lot of people who are going and putting themselves out for the first time online. I think getting caught up and really dragged down on what people say, it's actual true feedback, I think can be something that can hold people back, myself included, from just doing what you're going to do. From being creative and from sharing it with the world, which is really, I think, a huge part of being part of the creative process. But I'm ready for people to complain, I guess. Also, like I've had people say, "Hey, this didn't work out for me," and and I'm like, "Okay, let's workshop this." If it seems like the right place and time.
So with not getting too many critiques, do you ever find the vegan community in general critiquing your work? Because we can be a painful bunch.
Oh, I know. Oh, of course. The vegan community wants to do that. I've seen this for years and years. And I think I think the vegan community totally can do that. And there have definitely been points in my life when I was like, oh my God, vegans. And I think that's just part of the process. You know, I feel like this goes to a larger question of what happens when you put yourself out. And, you know, people have been writing books for decades about this, but the internet just makes everything like just faster. Yeah, you know, but also I feel like vegans have also changed a lot too. Years of doing this. Yeah.
In what ways do you see it? I know the way I see it, but I just want to see how you've seen it.
Yeah, I feel like that there is just so much more out there in general, like as far as cookbooks, as far as shows, as far as food, they get more opinionated and more like, I wish it was like this. Or they're more willing to kind of like accept different viewpoints, different styles. You definitely see people that who get very passionate about collecting cookbooks and about like expanding their library. You get people who seem to be more focused on what they need at this point, who have been in it for a while. And I mean, but to me, like, I think it's still very important to get people on board who are new to this. And definitely I did say that vegans are changing, but at the same time, I also feel like that there's a certain kind of core message I have to keep repeating because there's always going to be new people coming to veganism, and I think more than ever, which is super exciting. So like staying optimistic that there's always going to be a newbie person who is really coming from a place of like, hey, I really want to know what this is about, and I have no idea, and I ever stumbled on in my entire life is going to talk to me about veganism. It's still kind of amazing that, you know, when that happens. So yeah, be nice to those people, I guess, if I had to offer advice. Don't make them run away from vegans because
Do you find that being a cookbook author is harder in the time of internet and recipes being readily available online?
This is my gut feeling about it. People are still buying cookbooks. They still are. I think they look at cookbooks as a reference and something that sort of has a permanence. I think that like anyone that's like writing a cookbook should consider like, hey, you know, yeah, what I'm doing is going to be similar to maybe other things out there, but it's also going to be unique because it's from me and, you know, has the element of my story to it and my personality and interest in food. So, yeah, I mean, I think people are going to Google recipes when they're going to Google recipes, but I think they also buy cookbooks when they really are kind of hooked in by some aspect of what you're doing. But, yeah.
Do you see like a larger ebook presence over physical books now that like tablets are more readily available as well?
Oh, no, I think people do like real cookbooks. I think that like, yeah, I think when they want to like, you know, use their phone, they probably Google something.
Yeah.
No, they do it. But I think people really do like actual cookbooks. I think for that sense of, you know, I'm investing in this thing that I'm going to use repeatedly and reference. And I could tell you that from like, you know, just talking to publishers and from the official side that, yeah, that usually hardcover and actual physical cookbooks still sell more than ebooks do.
I mean, the cookbooks I use, you can drop them on the counter and it will open to the recipes I use.
Yes.
They're worn in.
Mystery sauce stains on them and notes and just I love that. I love that. People like sometimes bring these kind of things to signings. They'll be like, here's my book. It's really gross. I'm like, no, it's great. I love that.
I think my copy of Veganomicon has all that and more. Bunny ears, everything else.
Right? Perfect.
So do you have like a favorite go-to cookbook besides any of your own?
I think I've become like what a lot of people who cook for way too long out of their head is that like I don't really use recipes that often. Like I tend to kind of like just kind of, you know, think about stuff I've done, or I Google stuff online. It happens. But now you've got me looking at my bookshelf and thinking about things that I have looked at a few times. So as far as like non-vegan cookbooks go, I know non-vegan cookbooks. I have some of those. There's Jim Leahy's My Pizza, which is because I really like it's all based on this whole no knead bread thing for your crust. Mm-hmm. Just kind of this long, slow fermentation of like a really wet dough. And from there, you can kind of like, use it. It just has the best dough. Like if you want an amazing pizza, like you really want a flavorful, delicious dough. And I have an ancient bread book that's like from the 80s. It was like part of like this Time Life like series of books, and I inherited all of them from my folks, but the only one I read, I like bread, right?
Is that book like tan in color, like kind of thin?
Yes,
I have it.
Yes. Wow, it's the best book.
I was just gonna say I made my first sourdough starter from it.
I love that book, and like some of the recipes aren't even that great, but I still go to it all the time. I'm like, oh, I need to read about like I don't know, soda bread, like Irish soda bread, and it's this like kind of like weird old story about such a great book. I'm so excited you have that book. Yes,
I inherited it just like you did. That's really funny.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I do admit that I do sometimes crack open my completely photocopied copy of Soy Not Oi. It's like photocopied and bound in one of those like plastic with like the clear plastic cover binders, so it's not even a real copy of Soy Not Oi. Yeah.
Did you get Soy Not Oi too?
Oh, you cut out.
Oh, I was just saying, did you get Soy Not Oi too?
I did. Yes, I actually really have an official copy, not even photocopied. I haven't read a lot of it, but I am like super impressed. And how I just dropped my phone getting this. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
Am I still here? Okay. I am super impressed by how like legit and awesome it is. Like it's so like it's just great.
When punks grow up.
Yeah, when punks grow
up.
Yeah.
It's so domestic-punk, and it's got like all this great stuff about like being a freegan in Brooklyn, just great.
My favorite old go-to book. Not too many people have had it. I don't know if you've had it. It was called The Vegan Gourmet.
No, tell me more.
It went out of print in like 96, I think, 96, 97. And I got it because I worked at a little restaurant and all of the recipes were out of this little cookbook. There was like no like house recipes that were their own. They kept it like this big secret. And it was my first like introduction to real cooking. But yeah, I absolutely love it because it doesn't rely on like fake anything, no fake meats. It's just a hardcore, old school vegan. Like it's going to be, lentils and seasonings.
Yes. Oh, speaking of ancient cookbooks, I just found, and I think this is the one we were just talking about, my copy of the Book of Tofu.
Nice. That really thick one?
Future Now.
Oh, I love the Book of Tofu.
Wow. And it's been here all along. This gives you an idea of how I live.
So if you go in the Book of Tofu, they talk about like the early like tofu makers. I made a tofu press based on the drawings inside that book.
Whoa.
So I have an all wood tofu press like from there.
Badass. Yeah, I guess my other favorite vintage totally out there one is the New Farm, easiest hippie vegan cookbook ever. Do you know the one I'm talking about? It has a rainbow on the cover.
Nuh-uh, I don't know this one.
Whoa, okay. Yeah, this one is amazing. I think it's from some crazy commune that was in upstate New York in the 70s. Rainbow on the cover, all it's as hand drawn in 70s as you want it to be. It's perfect that way. You'd love this because it has recipes for tofu, tempeh, soy yogurt, like all this stuff. really kind of like soy milk of, and really all this homemade stuff and bread and everything. And there's practically no vegetables in this book. There's just nothing with vegetables. Like everything has like half a cup of margarine in it, or soybean oil, or like a cup of soybean oil. And it's incredible to tell this story because it's so amazing. It's like my favorite story in this book is like, they talk about like, it's all these, like, you could tell like there's pictures of them in there and you could tell they're like 20 years old or something. And there's like, 25 hippies living on a farm and somewhere. and they talk, well, I guess they found this little old Jewish man someplace. Like they went to an old folks home and they kind of rescued him. They just kind of like, I guess they had rescue like animals there or something. So they rescued this little old Jewish man from an old folks. And they were like, yeah, Bill's so great. He taught us to make like groovy stuff, like knishes. Like it's just like the most amazing scenario. I could just imagine Bill's like, "Oy vey, like what am I doing here?" There's a knish, So like they made it vegan. Like it's great. Just find that just alone for that totally crazy story.
I have to get this book. Yes. Yeah.
You cannot miss it. It is like a trip with tofu recipes. I don't know. It's weird.
Kind of reminds me, I saw a book recently called like the Vegan Stoner's Cookbook or something like that, and it's all just hand-drawn things. Probably not as interesting of a story as that. It's just
shit you can make while you're stoned.
Yeah, it's just...
Right. Wow.
But all hand-drawn, so it's impressive.
There you go. Hand-drawn cookbooks, the new old thing.
Yeah.
One of the things I like to ask all of our guests is there anything in the vegan or animal rights community that's happening right now that you wish wasn't happening, or vice versa, something you wish was happening that you don't see happening?
Wow. I am not truly up to speed on like the latest and greatest of what's happening in like the animal rights, or rather the vegan animal rights world. I think one thing that I kind of read a lot of weird mainstream food business news though. And I think one thing that's a weird conversation that's going on is big corporations are getting interested in cage-free eggs, which is a tangle of issues right there. But it's something that's kind of like kind of blowing my mind a little bit. Like, and I think in general, in kind of like the big food business, I hang out with a lot of like non-vegan food people, seeing like in the weird, food maker community and all this stuff. Like my other like work life kind of sucks me into that a little bit. And I see a lot of like in general, the discussion of vegan, food and, and vegan food businesses and what they're called plant-based to the outside world, that word. The fact that that's getting attention on a level by regular people, as in non-vegan people, and also like people like outside of the vegan world with lots of money is kind of freaking me out a little bit. And I think it's a little early to determine if this is a good or bad thing. I think it's going to be a mix of both. Kind of like how the cage-free egg issue is somehow major food companies. I want to say it was something like not General Mills, but something on that level was saying they were going to transition to cage-free eggs in like 8 years. I don't know, something crazy, and something like, again, and it's not great because it's still eggs, right? Is something that's actually kind of crazy to me, and kind of totally like, what is happening here? Why, suddenly the world outside of vegans is kind of interested in these issues.
Yeah. Hellman's Best had a lawsuit against Just Mayo, the new vegan mayonnaise thing, and then they dropped their lawsuit and just came out with their own egg-free product. Yes.
Have you seen that label? Have you seen like what it looks like?
Okay, I'm gonna be the douche. I bought one.
I can't believe that.
I haven't tried it yet, but it was at Target, and I'm like, hey.
Because you saw the carefully crafted.
It was so carefully crafted.
It actually says carefully crafted or something on the label.
But it doesn't say vegan on it anywhere. No, but I was going to say, like, I bought it because I was at Target, and they had a huge display, and I was like, I'm going to be that jerk consumerist vegan at this moment.
I can't justify buying it.
I can't either. I did it still.
Judging.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to judge.
We just lost all of our listeners too.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm gonna make potato salad out of it, and then
But you're getting
I'm gonna get some potato salad out of it. That's for sure.
right, and get a giant sponsorship from Unilever. It's going to be awesome.
I'll take that money.
I'll take any.
I'm
Right?
fine with that. I have a very low price tag.
Monsanto, bring it on! Come on,
Yeah.
whatever we can get.
Right. Are you listening? Are you listening, Unilever, Monsanto? Go for it. Yeah, no, the label is hilarious because it actually is like this brown, right? Like
Yeah,
it's this brown,
grayish.
It's like
earnest-looking label.
it's playing up to everyone's feels.
Yeah.
It's that double-edged sword, right? Like I am not a fan. I'm not going to push vegan consumerism as like the forefront of animal rights, but it does help a little bit, right?
I think we got to look at this from every angle, and if somehow that whole story is fascinating to me. The fact that this giant, multinational company felt the pressure from a bunch of angry vegans.
Yeah.
It's kind of mind-blowing. Just mind-blowing.
I mean, you think about it, it's almost more effective than any just boycott that's happened against Unilever. Because how many vegan boycotts have happened against Unilever, right? And there's a million reasons why you should never support them, and I agree with every single one of them.
Except for you did.
Except for I did at Target. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be the one that
Yes.
admits it. Everyone else is going to be like, yeah, fuck that. I'll never do that. And they have it in their closet, right?
Right. Just bring it all out, everyone. bring out your vegan mayonnaise. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's some of the wildest stuff, and what else is going on in the vegan animal rights movement? I don't know. I feel like it's probably a lot of have been going on for a while, as far as I know. Because I feel again, the message is there's a lot of repetition that needs to happen, and then it always is going to happen. I think when it comes to creating a general vegan awareness, we're always going to have to start from square one in many ways when talking to the world, because less than 1% of the world is vegan. So
Yeah.
it's never, the struggle is real. The struggle is so real.
Well, I kind of want to talk a little bit more about your upbringing. Your parents, they're from Venezuela, correct?
You cut out for a moment. I heard they're from Venezuela. It's true.
Have you ever been back to visit at all, or other places in South America?
I've only been as far as South America goes. I've only been there in 20 years. I went there a bunch when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And it's been, I think a lot has changed since then. A lot of things aren't so great from what I hear from relatives. And it's kind of a rougher place to be than I was there as a teenager. But I grew up in New England. My parents kind of ended up there New England is not exactly a bustling center of Venezuelan culture. So I didn't quite with the other kids in some ways growing up in suburban Connecticut.
Were you vegan when you were there?
I was I was vegetarian, by the time, full on vegetarian by the time I was 15, kind of transitioning when I was, 16, transitioning when I was around 14 or so, interested when I was a little earlier than that. And I moved out of there, I got the heck out of Connecticut as soon as I could, because I had to escape this place and run away to New York City. But yeah, I was a vegetarian teenager in the 80s in Connecticut. And let me tell you, that sucked. People were real assholes to me. And my two it was not a great time to be there. Yeah, people definitely gave me and my friends a real hard time. There were not a lot of options as far as food. We got shit for wearing Converse. Who
Really?
Still don't really process in my brain that in my high school like I wore Converse, I wore black, high top Converse, the most normal shoe in the world to me. And like, people were like, would yell at me when I like walk pep rally, one of those horrible things they make everyone attend when you're in high school. They'll make you go into the gym for some terrible fucking thing where everyone cheers for some reason. Mm-hmm. But like, yeah, I remember people yelling at me like, nice high waters. Like what? I don't know. Maybe everyone was wearing this with a Velcro on the top that cost like, $100 or something. I don't know. Whatever. It was just like really lame. I think right now, if you're a vegetarian teenager or vegan teenager, it's probably really awesome. There's probably like, you're probably really cool now.
Oh my
I
God!
can't even
Yes.
imagine what it would be like now.
I try to tell my daughter.
I'm just making stuff up.
Yeah, I try to drill into my daughter how fucking lucky she is. Like she can have cookies anywhere. Like they're just there.
Yeah.
Like I get like kind of mad. It's like you don't know the pains of only being able to get powdered soy milk. Like
or mail ordering food. Like I remember that the Trees brand that was like that fake cheese made out of nooch.
Hey, I like Trees. I'm sorry.
I liked it too.
I like nooch cheese. I'm old like that.
But I had to mail order that from some like I don't remember.
No. You know you're old when you remember mayonnaise.
This must be a Utah thing.
Oh,
Trees? No,
Trees was pretty big. Yeah,
it was like mac and trees. Is what it was called. I don't know.
What?
It was
Whoa.
like this box nooch cheese, macaroni and cheese.
It's like Rhodes End or something. Wasn't that
I
what
can't
it was
remember
called?
who made it. I can't remember.
You've come to the road's end.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
No,
Vegans.
if people want to know just how far we've gone, they need to go back and try mayonnaise and the very, very old
Box soy milk.
Not just the box. I was going to say all the old like vegan-rella that was like a
don't
brick
even talk
of plastic.
about vegan-rella.
Ugh.
Oh. Worse. Okay, can I talk about soy cod? How terrible it is?
Yes.
That soy cod. Why? Okay, so that, like, we used to eat that back, even though that's not still transitional cheese, and it was like the only non-dairy cheese we get in a casein in it. Like, I don't understand why that exists still. Okay?
Seriously.
Like, who's that for? Like, if you're vegan, you're not eating that. If you eat cheese, you're not eating that. It's intolerant and eat cheese. You take a bunch of pills to avoid that, right? So what horrible, what sad like demographic is this for?
The parents of vegans.
Yes.
Honestly, that's
Perfect.
what it is.
You're totally true. I had it
Finally, an
accidentally
answer.
just because of that.
Yeah.
It's like the grandparents buying gifts for kids that they just don't know better for.
And that's
Here's
that's the most awful thing is that you have to then break it to your parents. It's like, well, thanks for trying, but no.
Yeah, no, I ain't doing
Can't
it.
eat this.
So what has been the best? Oh, fuck.
Sorry about that.
no worries. It must be Unilever. Unilever.
Probably.
Yeah.
We just need their money. We could fix it.
I mean, we're
Seriously.
right next to the NSA, so that could be it too.
That is true.
Yeah. Pretty much the system.
It's just the system in general.
I drive by that NSA building every day, and I'm always like, I'm going to get arrested just by looking at it.
Wow. More reasons to come to Salt Lake City. Keep 'em coming.
But we have 3 vegan bakeries, so
So there you go. Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We even
okay.
have a French vegan bakery.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh la la.
Salt Lake is a little vegan gem that people don't know about.
It's true. It's very true. Very,
Okay.
Very hipstery.
Are you worried, like, if the word comes out, every vegan's going to move there and just rise, just get the just gentrify the shit out of it? And
Anything to get the Mormons out.
okay, whatever. Gentrification, bring it on. Okay.
As long as they're okay with being married to more than one person, that's fine.
Right. That's the totally hip.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay.
It totally fits in polyamory, punks.
Right?
It totally does, actually.
Totally does. We've got this figured out for you, polyamory punks. Vegan anarchist polyamory punks.
Yeah.
Right. Come to beautiful Salt Lake City. Come for the tofu made over an open fire. Leave with multiple spouses.
It's funny, like, a lot of people don't realize how liberal Salt Lake City actually is. People, like, listeners know this, but we have a lesbian mayor in the heart of Mormon town.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so the city is actually pretty liberal. It's everywhere outside the city that's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your own little Portland.
Yeah, it's
Portland,
pretty true.
Maine. I mean, Oregon. I mean, I don't know. Probably both Portlands.
One of them.
Something
One
like
of them.
that. One of them. Yeah. Take your pick.
I was gonna say we've been having all these errors, and we can definitely wrap it up soon. But I was just gonna ask you a couple more questions. If that's okay.
Sure.
So I wanted to know, being that your roots are from South America, if you like find yourself with a lot of inspiration from your Latino roots.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my comfort food tends to be like rice, beans, corn, that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like a lot of people are like, I like mac and cheese, but for me, it's more like I want something with avocado. I want something with papayas in it. I want any kind of like black beans are like we're talking about go-to recipes. I think we had that like topic, or go-to cookbooks, but go-to recipes for me is just making like a pot of black beans, some kind of rice, maybe some kind of slaw or salad. So definitely, like, I totally eat that way. And I do find a lot of inspiration. I made a whole cookbook about it. Viva Vegan. I did and that was a lot of fun because I got to explore other Latin American foods and cuisines that I wasn't as familiar with, but are really cool, like Peruvian and, or like Argentinian and, Mexican cuisine is so varied and so rich and really very different from what I grew up with. Like Venezuelan cuisine is very mild. Mm-hmm. There are like really not a lot of chilies or anything like that going on in that kind of food. So to me, like chilies are like this whole new kind of, it's this Mexican thing, what is this about? It's kind of funny because of the economic situation in Venezuela, there's a lot of Venezuelans that are, moving like out of Venezuela or trying to get out of there. And they're in New York City a lot. There's a lot more Venezuelan restaurants, like just brand new ones that like just didn't exist like 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm seeing, like, I go to some of these places and the food is a little bit like Mexicanized. It's actually spicy. It has chilies in it. It has all this stuff I've never seen in Venezuela. And I feel like they actually had to kind of like make the food spicier for Americans because even Americans' palates have shifted toward more Latin American style or more Mexican style fare. So, yeah, I definitely by myself, kind of turning to, Venezuelan and other Latin American cuisines all the time for ideas and inspiration.
With all the diversity in New York, do you think that there's a lot of diversity in the vegans there as well?
It's funny. I think there is, but not as much as I would expect in some ways, like you definitely have like a lot of, like people of color here, of course. And you see definitely some fun that's done with certain cuisines. But I don't know. I feel like that the envelope has yet to be really pushed in that direction, that I still feel like the majority of vegans that I meet in New York City are white. But, I feel like that is also a demographic that's also shifting as well. And I feel like, personally, I want to see more Latino vegans, and I know they're out there, and we're out there, we're taking over. So yeah, definitely, I feel like it's something that I think that is evolving still.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us. What's some ways that people can get in touch with you, find out more about your cookbooks, and get some?
Yeah, get some. So right now, I think I post the most on Instagram. I am at Terry Hope there. No one says at on, Instagram, right? That sounds weird. I'm just Terry Hope. One word, my name with a Y. And I feel like I'm there most active. I do have a terrible fan page that I barely look on Facebook that I really need to look at more. But yeah, you could also find me there and on Twitter. And I have my blog, my poor neglected blog. But you can totally reach me there too. And that is veganlatina.com.
So those are where people can go criticize you at.
Please, yes, go for it. And also my books are on Amazon, big corporate Amazon, but also Barnes & Noble and at Powell's and other little like indie places too. So guys, I've been around for a long time. I'm all over the place.
Well, we end every episode saying fuck, shit, damn. Would you mind saying it for us this week?
Fuck, shit, damn.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is super rad. I'm excited to see how you edit this all together.
As soon as we figure out our better internet connection, we'll have to have you on again sometime because this has been a lot of fun. So.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It'll be awesome. All right. Now I got to, we'll do that in Salt Lake City. I'll just come to you guys and we'll have a live show. It'll be great.
Sounds good.
great.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Talk
Have
to
a
you
good
later.
night.
Bye.
This week you heard.
Space Doc by Trans Am.
Right now you're listening to.
The Horror by RJD2.
I always get confused on that name.
I was like R2D2.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? But if you want to help the show out at all, just a little bit, get a friend to listen. Just say, hey, friend, listen. And even if they're not your friend, you can be like, hey, you on the subway, listen. I mean, if you are that, good in social situations. I'm not. I'm totally awkward in social situations. Even if I've known you for years, I'm like, I don't know.
You could always just yell at people on the subway, too.
Listen
Listen to Which Side Podcast.
That's a fantastic way of making people listen, right?
Yeah. They'd be like, I'm offended. But what is this Which Side Podcast?
What is this? Which side do you speak of? If you don't feel comfortable yelling at people on the subway, go rate and review us on your favorite podcast aggregate, like iTunes or Stitcher, or we're on Pod something or whatever, like
Podcaster?
Podcaster.
Something, I don't know.
We're on a bunch of them.
We're probably on any one that
Google
exists.
Play.
Yeah.
We're there. Go rate and review us on any of those and subscribe on all of them.
We have an RSS feed, and so pretty much anything that picks up an RSS feed will
We'll be there.
be there.
So help us out, y'all.
And if anyone on social media ever says, hey, I'm looking for a podcast, do you recommend one? Recommend us. And while you're there, be our friend. See, I was trying to do a little segue.
I got that, yeah. Very professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and then you don't draw attention to it at all.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So be our friend on social media, and we'll chat at you.
You can shout at people on social media as well.
All caps.
See, that's called a call back.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is cool. Little do they know, there's a little bit of premonition?
Foreshadowing.
Yeah,
we're foreshadowing.
There's so much stuff going on.
I know.
So
It's
good.
amazing. We're like master manipulators.
Yeah. So follow us on social media so you can master manipulate with us.
That's right.
Sounds dirty.
It does sound dirty. I like it.
Put shit down.
That sounds dirty too.
Yeah. Well, that is.
Which Side Podcast is hosted and produced by Jordan Halliday and Jeremy Parkin of the Which Side Media Collective, with web design by Jordan Halliday and sound design by Jeremy Parkin. Booking by Mari Halliday. Theme music by Commandantes. Go to whichsidecollective.org to check out the other shows in the collective. As always, fuck shit damn.